Well, welcome back, everybody, to Music Talk. I'm Dave.
I'm Mike.
Mike.
That's Dave right there, right there.
All right. So this week we're checking out the new Robin Trower. Looks like this. It's called, what is it? No More Worlds to Conquer. I should know that, right? No More Worlds to Conquer. Robin Trower looks like this. It's his little painting that he did on the front there. Inside tells you who recorded it, who wrote it, basically Robin Trower, all the way around. Back gives you the up close painting and titles. And then the CD, I bet you can't guess what's on the CD. Yes, his painting one more time. So, but pretty cool, actually. I like it. I think it's neat because it looks like the worlds are lining up, it's coming, to you or away, however you want to look at it.
Last world to conquer.
Yeah. So this is a pretty good record here. It's really short. It comes in at like 44 minutes.
Yeah, 11 songs.
Yeah, 11 songs, 44 minutes. A couple songs were barely over 2 minutes. I know at least one was like a really short song. Thought it was produced pretty well. It was recorded by Sam Linfield at Studio 91 and Livingstone Brown at Boogie Lab Studio. Mixed by Livingstone Brown. Of course, Robert was probably in on it. I mean, Robin, excuse me, not Robert, was in on it. And you got on drums, you got a guy named Chris Taggart, vocals, Richard Watts, and basically Trower's doing the guitar and bass. He does credit Liv, which I'm guessing is Livingston Brown, a little bit for bass, but I'm not sure what he's playing on it. I mean, maybe he did a song or two, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty much thinking Robin did everything other than the drums and vocals. So
yeah.
So pretty decent record. First song starts out, Ball of Fire, good groove. It was kind of upbeat. I liked it. Came in. The vocals kind of remind me a little bit of what you would hear, like almost 70s production almost. It was kind of, like the vocals on this, they vary on track to track. Like sometimes it sounds like it was recorded in the 70s. Sometimes it sounds modern.
Yeah.
It was kind of weird to me. I did like it though. It's got a good chorus. Got your typical Robin Trower sound that you're looking for, that tone,
Yeah, and I saw an explanation how he gets that too.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name, all the pedals and everything he goes through, but he had a certain way he lines them up and gives him that sound.
Yeah. And it's I always associate the Bridge of Sighs sound to Robin Trower. That sound that he gets with all that swirling and you know what I mean? It's like it's almost like you're in the water swirling around you, right?
Right.
In the wall, like you said, yeah. The second track, we got No More Worlds to Conquer, which is the title track. And this one, man, that solo, the tone he gets on that solo is phenomenal.
Yep.
I thought it was unbelievable, the tone. So I like that one. Deadly Kiss. This one, track 3. I really like this song. And one thing I like about this is, I don't know if it's Robin playing the bass and guitar both on this one, but he's offsetting, like he's playing the bass groove and then he's playing the guitar groove in between. So you have a do on it, you know what I mean? So you had this, it was really cool to me.
Yeah. Well, another thing I really liked about the song, and the minute I started listening to it, I was like, Prince could have done this song.
Well, it's funny because I was going to say that falsetto vocal that he's doing in there reminded me a lot of like Prince would do, or even like the 70s, almost like who was it that did Keep On Dancing?
Oh,
Sunshine Band. Was it Casey and the Sunshine Band or somebody like that? I don't know.
Somebody like it,
yeah. It had that 70s falsetto about it, man. And I was like, man, that is really weird because you had the typical Trower sound like the Bridge of Sighs, but this is the first time he really kicks it up on this song where it sounds like the Bridge of Sighs sound. And then you put that falsetto vocal in there and it was like, it works great because you got the funk groove going on.
Yep.
But it was definitely not what I was expecting.
Well, another thing about this song too that was hence the title, Deadly Kiss. It's about a friend talking to a friend that had become a junkie, and that's what the whole premise of the song is all about.
Ah, okay. Yeah. All right.
Again, the Prince reference,
Yeah.
And I think that's why I don't know, it might have been coincidental that they went for that falsetto thing, but it just kind of, after doing a little research on some of the songs, uh, it just struck me as Prince could have sang this song, and it was kind of eerie that that was the title of the song.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
premise of the song.
I'm pretty sure there probably wasn't a coincidence. I think there was something there probably, now that you're talking about the meaning of it. So, I mean, because it was quite different than the rest of the songs,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know, as
he
far as
talked about
vocals.
this when he was interviewed about this album. He said he went, you know, there were some songs that were about the political stance that's going on worldly right now, and he can't stand any of it.
Mhm.
And also, too, is like some of this was out of love for people in his life, and it was just things that he's been going through, you know, that he sees day to day life, you know.
Then we get to the fourth song, and this is Bird Song, and this is a slow burner right here, man. I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
you know, typical slow blues, just, you know, tearing up the guitar.
Hmm.
And number five, it picks up a little bit. You know, they're pretty much laid back, but this song here, he picks it up a little bit, but it's a super short song. It's called Losing You,
Yeah. Yep.
which probably has more meaning again.
Hmm.
I didn't get into the lyrics too much on this one. I just kind of focused on the music part.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but this one went so fast. It had a good groove, everything, and then it just went quick. It was gone. I
Mhm.
mean, like 2 minutes. It's almost like 2:20, I think, is what the track listing is.
Right.
Like, man, that was too fast. Because I would have liked to went a little further. But then we get to number six, which is Waiting for the Rain to Fall. And it's a real easy listening, slower tune. But man, I really like this song. I
Hmm.
like the background guitar licks that he's doing. And man, it is a really good song, man.
Yeah.
And then you get to number seven, Wither on the Vine. And this is another laid back one. It's kind of similar to a couple that we've heard already on this record.
Kind of.
Uh,
Well, a lot of things that Robin Trower does are similar, but they are different. You know, it's like it's got that trademark Trower sound. It's just like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Vaughan or Stevie Ray could go through 100 songs, and you know it's Stevie Ray, but there are subtle differences. You can tell it's Stevie Ray. You know.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Then you get to number eight, and that's Cloud Across the Sky. And this one picks up again. So you got a little bit, you know, more up tempo. Got another great riff, great guitar sound, you
Yeah.
know, another,
Cloud across.
another,
Yeah. Cloud across the sun.
oh, that's what I meant. Yeah, I said sky, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're thinking reaching for the sky.
I'm reaching for the sky, man. Yeah, so Cloud Across the Sun. Yeah. And, you know, now that you mentioned that a lot of this stuff goes back to probably a lot of personal things for him, I can see that how this is working.
Yeah.
You know?
And he did discuss a little bit about the chronology of his albums and the titling and everything of it. And it is a little bit of a following his life, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
why he's
Yeah.
going through it. And I read a point too, I think it was back in 97. He had gone on stage to perform and they did two songs and they were right off Bridge of Sighs back to back. And after the second song, he stopped, had to tell the audience he couldn't continue, and walked backstage. He collapsed, and they had to take him to the hospital. And
Wow.
he was pretty sick, I guess, for a while. And a lot of these titles, I think, me hit home with him. And the thing he was talking about, you know, going back to that, was he's not talking about that his life's going to end anytime soon. What he's looking at is it's time to get up and push forward. You know?
Yeah. That's right. Because it could end soon. So keep on rolling while you can, you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
And at number nine, we get Fire to Ashes, which is pretty cool words there, you know. Are we just fire to ashes? You know, is that how our relationship's going? You know.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good. Another slow song. Um, and number 10, The Razor's Edge. And this is classic, again, classic Trower. It's
Yep.
got the Bridge of Sighs sound again,
Hmm.
swirl, you know. I thought it was a great. That was one of the ones I have a star by.
Yep.
And in the end, last song, number 11, is I'll Always Be Your Shelter, which was a good ending to me for this album. I thought,
Yeah.
because, it builds up and it talks about losing and, you know, all these things going on. But in the end, I'm always going to be your shelter, you know? So if this is his last album, which I don't think it is, but it could be, I mean, it's weird that he would call it No More Worlds to Conquer and it not be his last album, right?
Well, it could be a fact too, though. And going back to what we were talking about earlier with his political statements and stuff, I mean, you got these idiots firing rockets up into the sky, selling seats and all that, and you know what? There's no more worlds conquer. Come on, man.
They want
Get
to
back
conquer
down here and
Mars.
conquer this one.
They're trying to conquer Mars.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they can have it.
And
I got.
Robin Trower, he's going to be there playing guitar on it if they do. And he's painted a picture of it. So there it is.
Yep, yep, yep.
That's
But
more.
yeah, I just I think in a subtle way he's just pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
with his thinking.
Well, I gotta say, man, Richard Watt's vocal work, I really liked it. I think he
Yep.
fits well with Robin's music. I mean, even if you go back to the past with other singers, and I know everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, there ain't nobody like blah blah blah," or "This guy was the best singer ever." But to me, man, I think it fits every era that Robin did. I don't see any problem with him singing any era of Robin Trower's songs.
Hmm.
So I feel like the guy fits in perfect. I don't know if he had a whole lot of input on the songwriting, but he is a multi-instrumentalist. He does play the bass live for him. And I mean, he's a great singer. I really like him. He's out of the England area, but I never heard of him before until he was with Robin Trower.
Hmm.
So I really don't know what he's done in the past. I don't think it's a whole lot. I didn't see a lot credited to him.
Yeah. Well, one thing I noticed, and I did like too, Chris Taggart, good drummer, good simple drummer. He didn't do anything out of the way.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I think Trower played bass on a lot of this stuff is, again, we're looking at the COVID thing, and I'm sure that a lot of this stuff was done remotely, and
Yeah.
most people now are set up with somewhat of a studio to where they're, such as like drummers, for example, they're set up to where they can literally walk in their studio, sit down, and lay down some tracks for you.
Yeah.
So I got a feeling a lot of this was done remotely. Richard Watts was just used as the vocalist,
Mhm.
and which he could possibly. I don't know if he's played bass on any of Trower's stuff in the previous albums,
I'm not sure.
but I don't know.
Did he sing on any of his other albums? I think he did
Uh,
one
yeah,
other one,
yeah, I
right?
believe he did one
Yeah.
other album. Yeah, but he's. I'm surprised at his vocals. I was very happy after. At first, I had to listen to it and then listen to it a second time. And the second time I listened to it, I'm like, yeah, man, he's nailing it.
Well, I mean, the drums sound different just about every song.
Yep.
A couple times I felt like they were a little hollow on a song or two, but then other times, man, they were just right there, perfect. So I don't know what was going on, and maybe a couple times they didn't quite get what I don't know, it may be what they were looking for, but I did notice that they did sound differently. I did like it though. I thought it was good. His snare, he changes the snare sound, which I thought was great. Even the two rim shots songs didn't have the same rim shot sound.
That's one of the telltale signs to me that he was doing these remotely, like he was probably doing it in his home studio, and he probably had a couple of friends that had studios set up. And he went over and
Yeah.
instead of changing his whole sound around. I mean, because you know yourself, once you dial something in, especially a set of drums,
Yeah.
you don't want to be changing them.
No, no, because
You
that's where
don't.
you want it.
You don't want to be changing
Yeah.
those sounds, and unless they're just doing digital, straight up digital. And I think a lot of performers are getting away from that now. I think they're mixing the analog and the digital.
Yeah.
You know,
And the guy he's got on here playing organ is a guy named Paddy Milner, and he's a Scottish singer, songwriter, piano,
right,
organ player.
right.
There wasn't a lot going on with him. He was in the background mostly. You could hear him doing mood stuff,
Yep.
but I mean, still, it was right in there when it needed to be. Couple things that I will say about the record. is it's definitely got the signature Robin Trower sound. There's no doubt. The tones are there, great riffs. I think if he played most of the bass, I feel like he did a pretty good job of not sounding like a guitar player playing bass, because a lot of times guitar players play their own bass lines, and to me, I can tell because they don't have that. And I know people are going to say, "Oh, you don't know that," whatever, but you can tell when the bass player's got a groove, you know. And a lot of these songs, man, he's got good groove on it. More, you know, because a lot of guitar players just play the bass like they're playing the bottom four strings of their guitar.
Right,
Right.
exactly. And that's what I
So
was going to say. You know, as a drummer, I know, I mean, uh, I've had several guitar players that would sit in and play bass, and they're playing like they're playing guitar. They weren't listening to my bass drum at all, which is
right.
where a basic pattern is. You want the basic pattern to play bass? Listen to the bass drum.
Yep. And that's what, you know, I felt pretty good about what I was hearing from him on this, because he was actually playing bass lines. He wasn't playing guitar lines
Right.
with a bass. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So I like that. I felt like the vocals had a lot of soul. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
fit the music well. The drums sounded good. They were different. You didn't have the same sound on every song, you know. Uh, couple things I will say about it. What, you know, on the bad side is that sometimes the groove went on a little too long in these songs, and it got a little monotonous to me. Um, it's not a whole lot of dynamics on here. It just kind of has the same flow. It's you
Yep.
know, it's got a similar feel. A lot of the songs do, which is, you know, a typical laid back blues. Though I mean, it's not. I'm not dogging him for it.
Right.
It just was it's a very good record to kick back to and just chill and listen to some good blues guitar riffs, man. I mean, really. And a nice, soothing, soulful voice
Right.
on there,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
So I like that.
It's always been the case with Robin Trower.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's always been in that scenario of being laid back, and with that, you know, I got to tell you, uh, Dewar, I do miss him, but this guy really filled those shoes. Yeah, Dewar, he went off and did a solo thing,
Mm-hmm.
and the album was done in like, I think it was 78 or something like that. 77, 76, 77, 78. But it didn't get released until after he passed away in 98. And I listened to it last night. It reminded me a lot of a Gary Morris slash disco era type album. Little commercial ballads and stuff like that, which
Right.
explains to the fact of him passing the bass over to somebody else so he could be a stand up singer.
Right. Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's where he belonged anyway. To me, he was a lot. You know, I often wonder why Robin didn't try to get Paul Rogers to come in and sing some stuff for him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Well,
the
well,
there's the
Paul
magic.
Rogers is a pretty busy
Big,
guy.
he's a pretty big, big name. Probably a
Yeah.
little too big for Robin to pay. You know?
Could be. I mean, you know, if Paul Rogers sang on everything he wanted to, he'd never take a break. I mean, you
Oh, I
know,
know.
there's
Oh my God.
probably so many people he'd like to play with, you know. So,
He's
but
the only
yeah,
man I saw that stand up there and be the front man for Queen and not even try to sound like Freddie Mercury and pull it off.
yeah, you don't have to when you're Paul Rogers. So for me, I liked it. It's a good laid back record. You got the typical Robin Trower tones. You got good grooves, you know. I mean, I liked it. I mean, the more I listen to it, actually, the better I like it. You know, the first time, you know, it kind of went by. Then the second time you start hearing things, and then the third time and fourth time, it's like you're really picking things up, and it's like, yeah, I really like that, you know.
Yep.
I think what really draws me to it is I like the singer so much that he kept me interested, you know, because you know what Trower's going to do. You're going to love his guitar work.
Yep. Yep.
So with the vocalist, I think it drew me in more, and I'm actually going to give this one an 8.1. I mean, that's kind of high for me. I know people don't really know my rankings, or maybe they do. I mean, last week I gave a 10 for the first time ever. So, I mean, this one 8.1. I mean, I think it's above good, really. So,
Yep.
I liked it.
I'm gonna give it a 9. I mean, I'm all about anything that Trower does. I haven't been disappointed in anything he's done
No.
uh, through all the different phases. I just haven't been diligent about keeping up with his, musical seats that are going on in the band. But he
Right.
seems to hold it together, and it always winds up sounding like Robin Trower.
Yep. And that's what I was going to say. He's still staying true to the Trower sound on this record. I mean,
Yeah.
he's got a lot of albums out.
Yes, he does.
When you go look back at his chronologic, when you go back, what'd you say?
Chronological order of his albums. Yes.
What Mike just said. So there's a lot of them there, and I didn't even realize there were that many, to tell you the truth. It's like, because you know how it is, man. You listen to these guys and you pick up a record or two, and then you buy a CD or two. But there's so many other things you're following, and when you go back and look at these artists, you're like, man, I didn't realize they had so many records out.
Well, I mean, but he's always been busy.
Mhm.
And I mean, he had the BLT album, he had the BLI album, which was with Isidore. And also, too, when he left Procol Harum in 71, 1991, he got back together with them and did some writing.
Wow.
So 20 years later. So, I mean, obviously he didn't burn any bridges as he moved from one project to another. He just
and I want to say a bass player from Procol Harum played with him back in the 90s too.
Yeah, that's probably when he was doing his collaboration of writing again with Procol Harum.
Right. So so it seems like he's still in and out of everything he's ever touched. He's still in touch with all these people.
Yep.
So never heard a bad word of Trower ever. I always hear people reference him. You never hear a bad word about him.
Right.
And he seems like he's a cool cat.
Yep. He's got a good theory too. I was reading some, like we were talking earlier before we started recording. We were talking a little bit about it, his sound and everything. And one thing he said, he uses really heavy gauge strings. And he said, if guitar players want to stay true and use proper technique, put those heavy gauge strings on there because you can't cheat with them.
No, it's probably very hard to bend them too.
Yeah. And the thing is too, one thing he did after, I believe it was the third album, he started tuning down a half step. And then it got to where in concert he was tuning down a full step.
Yeah.
And that was probably to ease it up a little bit for him to be able to do all those bends with those heavier strings, because he needs those heavy strings to give him that tone that he's got,
Yeah, because I want to say that I had to use a 5-string on both the songs that we did by him so I could hit those low Ds.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure when we were playing the 2 songs that we did in the band, it was in either a G with some low D bass, or either the whole song was in the key of D. But I do know I was in D.
What he did on his guitar explained it. All he did was he tuned down each string a half step.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, when he was doing live shows, he was tuned down a full step, but it was still the same EADG, B.
Right. Yeah, he was just his whole thing was tuned
dropping
down.
Everything, dropping everything a half or a whole step.
It's hard to do that with a bass because you get so much slap back.
Well, that's why you got the 5-string.
That's why you get the 5-string. Yeah. So, and I always hated the 5-string because, I mean, I don't hate the 5-string, but I'm more comfortable with 4. Mm-hmm. And when you put that 5th string on there, it's like, come on, man. Where am I at now? So
thank God you weren't doing any cheap trick. You'd have been playing a 8-string
or a 12-string even.
Or a 12-string.
I know. It's like, yeah. The only thing I used the 5-string for a lot of stuff when people were tuned down, so I didn't have to change basses. But it was a good thumb rest. That B string, I can rest my thumb on it.
You didn't rust that screw on top of that pickup.
Exactly. So I don't have little divots in my pick guard. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. I mean, I like the record. It's a good laid back record, man. Chill, throw it on. You'll enjoy it. I mean, I gave it an 8-1. Mike gave it a 9-0. I mean, if you like Robin Trower, this is typical Robin Trower, classic sound, tone, groove. It's right where you want to be.
Just that blues rock, and You wanna keep my attention, play some good blues rock. You know, I don't
Yep.
care if it's Robin Trower, Bad Company. I don't care who it is. Stevie Ray Vaughan. I don't care. Throw it on. I'm gonna listen.
Especially when it's got a good groove. And this record's got grooves all over it, man. So
And that's the one thing I love about this kind of music. A groove gets going, and it stays in that groove. And if they change it to a different groove in the song, then it lasts forever. You
yeah,
know.
right. And and that's one thing I really liked about his bass work on here, because he had that groove. It felt natural to me.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
all right. Well, until next time, y'all stay safe out there.
That's right. And peace out. Listen to the music.